Champions for hire.
Welcome back to GMs for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry, and joining me this evening is professional golfer Chase Koepka. Chase, how you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And you are currently up in Kentucky for the Barbasol Championship. I know you had a practice round today. We'll dive right in. Let me know how that went.
It was good. Got to see the course. I haven't played this course before. It's fairly on the easy side just because of the rain that they've had up here. So it's playing pretty soft. And Monday qualifiers, you have to definitely go pretty low. So with some soft conditions, you're gonna have to shoot probably, I would say maybe at least 8 or 9 under to probably have a chance to get through for this week.
When you play a course for the first time, like you will be this week, how do you approach things differently? Obviously, that first practice round, there's a lot you got to be looking for in both conditions and just how the course plays, weather aside. So was there anything specific you looked for today at today's course in Kentucky?
So today I was trying to make sure I was hitting the right clubs off the tee. There's a lot of blind tee shots where you can't really see the ball land in the fairway. So it was a lot of making sure I was choosing the right lines off the tee and choosing the right clubs, and then making sure I'm not going to miss anything short side. The thing in a Monday qualifier, you just don't want to make any easy bogeys. You can afford, if you hit a bad shot, have a bad hole, it's okay. But to make it easy, silly bogey that you really shouldn't, because you're gonna have to make a lot of birdies and make a lot of putts. So they usually try and spice up the pins a little bit, make them tough, make us earn some birdies out there. But definitely on this golf course, there's a lot of, if you're hitting it good off the tee, you're gonna put yourself into a situation where you have some wedges, and then the par fives, there's a couple difficult ones where even if you do hit the fairway, there's a couple trees like right in the middle of the fairway that kind of block your visual to the green. So those will be interesting. But yeah, tomorrow just looking to attack and try and make as many birdies as you can, and hopefully that gets it done, because I think there's about 80 some odd guys in tomorrow, and top 4 make it through.
So like you said, you noticed the trees in the middle and a couple other, unique spots along the way. When you're doing warm-ups tomorrow, before you take your true 18, is there anything you're focusing on? Are you focusing on irons to try to power through those par fives, or is there something specific that you would focus on, getting warmed up?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. So especially for tomorrow, I'll be working on kind of with my long irons, trying to hit some shapes, whether right to left for a draw or left to right for a fade on a few holes. Because if you do slightly get out of position here on this golf course, or you hit one right down the middle on these par fives, you're going to have to kind of shape your shots into the green. So just get used to kind of, because I don't really curve the ball too much. So that'll be definitely something that I look forward to in the warm up tomorrow, just kind of hitting some shots, hitting some shapes out there. And especially even on the wedges a little bit, just to kind of get them close to some of these pins, because the greens are very small out here, and I know they'll kind of tuck them in the corners. So you kind of want to, you don't really want to be landing it right on the pin with how soft the greens are. You kind of want to be hitting it just to the right and kind of spinning it in to the left if the pin's on the left, and kind of vice versa if it's on the right side. So yeah, it was actually a really good question. I don't get that too often about how my warm-ups will be, but yeah, that's pretty good, because this is one of the courses I told myself today. I was like, I'm gonna really have to work on that in the morning. So
Yeah, warm-ups are just as important as the game, because if you focus on something specific, you're going to want that to pay off when you're on the course for real. So yeah,
yeah, no doubt.
definitely important. Do you know the weather yet for tomorrow? You mentioned me that the course got some rain today.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little overcast tomorrow, some chance of rain, but I'm teeing off in the morning, so it looks like if there is kind of some rain that pops through, it's towards the afternoon, but it's going to be kind of light showers. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to affect my round too much.
Yeah, hopefully, the weather holds off and you're able to have a clean 18, no problems. Uh,
Yeah.
and of course, we're hoping for a victory at the Barbasol Championship. But when you're in between tournaments, I feel like I should ask this: do you prepare any differently? If the upcoming tournament after this one is going to be something completely different, whether you've seen it before or not. Do you practice differently in between? Are you preparing ahead, or are you really waiting until that practice round right before to kind of get a true understanding of how it's going to go?
So for me, when I'm home, I like to take the first couple days and just kind of figure out, okay, what was working, what wasn't working, and I'll usually kind of focus on the things I wasn't doing too well. Um, but things like putting, chipping, those are the things that I constantly work on because you can never get too good at chipping or putting.
Right.
But usually a couple days kind of before I go to a tournament, I like to go out in the course, kind of play some holes because um, you, you want to make sure that what you were working on, you're able to take it out onto the golf course so that it's not a surprise when I get up to go play in a practice round or even just an event if I don't get a chance to play a practice round. Definitely want to make sure that I feel just as good on the range as I do on the golf course, and that's really important. I think a lot of guys that would be their biggest weakness especially in pro golf. So many of us are really good. We look great on the range, and then on the course, not as, I wouldn't say as sharp. So that's one of the things that kind of separates, I would say, the average to elite professional golfers because we all look great on the range. It's just how we end up doing it on the course.
Yeah, I know that feeling. What would you say the best aspect of your game is? What would you say personally?
I would say accuracy wise, I hit it very straight. I rarely ever miss. Um, my putting's always been a huge strength. It's kind of let me down a little bit over the last couple months, but as of late, started figuring it out and getting that confidence back. And that's the weapon where if I am putting it well, I'm dangerous. Let's say that.
Yeah. As long as you can get on the green, you think you're pretty good.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I talk about is just stressing, trying to put the ball in the fairway, put the ball on the green, and once I get the ball on the green, I feel like I can make it from anywhere. And that usually, when I'm doing that and giving myself a lot of chances on the greens, it usually ends up working out all right for me. I shoot a lot of stress-free rounds, and the putter really does solve a lot of problems. If you do hit a bad shot, you can always make a good putt and make up for it.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I love the confidence on the green because you got to finish, and that's something that a lot of golfers have trouble doing. So it's nice that you carry yourself confidently when you get to that finishing point. That has to be helpful. Uh,
Yeah.
you went to USF, right? Just a
Yep.
few years ago. I'm currently a USF student, so we have that in common. And you were very successful there. You won 4 tournaments there. You were one of the better golfers there, and you of course moved on to this. How would you say your golf game has changed since your days at USF?
I would say the one thing I've gotten a little bit longer since I've gotten out of college. That was kind of the one thing that I would say held me back a little bit towards the start of my career was I felt like I was kind of too far behind the average hitter,
Yeah.
and really kind of worked on. And I've probably picked up about 15 yards off the tee since college, and that's really kind of helped change my game. And then a lot of it is course management and understanding what it takes. You play so much golf when you're playing professionally. I mean, I would say I'm anywhere on the road from 22 to 28 weeks a year.
Wow.
So it's a lot of golf. So being able to have good course management while you're out there it makes the game a lot easier. And then the other thing is kind of knowing what works for me. I would say in the college setting, a lot of times you're doing what kind of the team does, and you really have to when you're by yourself, know what works for you.
Right.
And I think that was the biggest learning lesson that I got going from collegiate to pro golf, is figuring out what's best, works for me, what gets me ready to go play week in and week out.
That's one thing I really like about the sport of golf, because unlike team sports, you need to know yourself better than anybody else. Where,
Yeah.
if it's football or soccer or even basketball, you need to know both your team and the defense. Golf, you don't have to worry about anybody else. You're really just focused on doing what's best for you and making sure you could be as successful as possible. So I definitely see how the golf IQ, I guess you could say, has grown since college. That makes a lot of sense and can definitely come with experience.
Yeah, and a lot of it was when I was in college. I was still like trying to learn as much as I can. I was trying to be a sponge and just soak up everything that all my coaches were trying to teach me. And I mean, at 18, 19, 20 years old, you think you know it all. You think you know it all. And I realized I didn't. And being able to be around some great coaches that I had at USF, they really kind of wanted me to just absorb everything, all the information that they were telling me, and just trying to learn as much as I can. And that's basically what I tried to accomplish during my time at USF, was to really learn. And then once I turned pro, was to really try and use all what I learned from college, and to be able to make it out here.
Yeah. I actually want to mention, I think it might be the only course that we have both played on, the Claw at USF.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. I want to get your thoughts on it, because I haven't played on, the better courses that you have, but it's not one of my favorite courses, if I'm being honest. What are your thoughts on the Claw?
Honestly, the Claw was so hard.
Yeah.
I am so glad I probably don't have to play that golf course as much as I did in college. I had some pretty tough rounds up there. That course can eat you alive.
Yeah.
And it was fun though, because it was, I don't know how to describe it, but that place, just, it could really get under your nerves. Like,
Yeah.
there's trouble everywhere around that place. You could hit a good shot and it ends up, and you miss the fairway by a couple feet and you're blocked out by trees.
Yeah.
I mean, but it really, I would say for the guys on the team, it really helped us out mentally, because we really focused. We had to focus. Like, if you lost your focus out there while playing qualifying around, you could shoot a really, really high number. You had to stay in it for 18 holes out there. And I think that was probably, we didn't play it as much as probably a lot of people thought. We probably play it maybe once a week,
Yeah.
where we'd go play like a qualifying round or something like that out there. But it was hard. I mean, I think my best round out there, I think I shot maybe 67. So like, I think it's 4 under par. And the amount of rounds I played out there, I mean, I would have at least thought in my time I would have shot like a 65, 64, 63. But I couldn't, in 4 years, I couldn't figure out how to play that golf course. It ate me alive.
Yeah, I mean, you might feel bad about your score, but if I shared mine, I wouldn't make any cut anywhere. That course, I'm no pro and I'm not on the team, but it floods really easily. It holds water. Like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was in better shape when you played there, but yeah, I feel like there's something that has to be done about it, because yeah, that is a frustrating golf course for sure.
Yeah, it can get under your skin, definitely. But like I said, it was fun to play, and we were very fortunate to have the Claw out there, for having our practice facility out there, day in and day out. That was our home, and I, even though it did give us a lot of trouble out on the golf course, thankful for that place, because I mean, you you got you had to work hard to figure everything out there, and to really hone in your game. And even through the headaches, you could I learned a lot out there.
Yeah, but from your home state of Florida, you went overseas a little bit later to take on the Challenge Tour. visited many countries out there, taken on several tournaments. What was it like out there? You get homesick? How did you feel? Because obviously that's a newer environment for you. I mean, you spent all 4 years in college. You were in the States. Did they go overseas for college? I don't think so, right?
We traveled to Mexico. That was
Oh,
like our biggest trip every year. We went to go play a tournament there. But yeah, it was only 3 weeks after we got done the NCAA championship my senior year. I made my journey over there to Europe and started playing on the Challenge Tour, and I definitely got homesick being over there. But I learned a lot. It was I would say it was a perfect time for me to go over there. I learned a lot about myself, a lot about my game, playing all around the world. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many different countries I got to go see. I mean, I think I filled up my passport the
oh
first year
yeah.
I was over there. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the great thing about it was it wasn't just playing in Europe. We got to go to Middle East. We got to go to Asia, Australia. We got to go to Africa and go play. I mean, I racked up some air miles in my
Yeah.
time over there on the Challenge Tour and the European Tour as well.
I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, you see all these, wonderful things you wouldn't see in the US. And were any of the courses there super unique? Something special about a course that you wouldn't see in the US ever?
I mean, honestly, a lot of them. I mean, there wasn't much golf over there that I could relate to playing
Yeah.
in the US. I mean, I would say the closest was probably in the Middle East. That was probably the closest I would say you could get to maybe like a Florida golf course or like a California golf course, where it's super hot, a lot of sand everywhere. Um, yeah, I mean, you, Switzerland. I mean, some of the places in Switzerland. I mean, I grew up playing Florida golf, sea level,
Yeah.
flat, and you get to Switzerland and one of the tournaments, it was on the European Tour. I think we were up about almost 7,000 feet
Wow.
elevation.
Really?
And you're playing literally off the side of a mountain. So in the wintertime, the golf course becomes a ski resort. And then in the summertime, it's a golf course. So I mean, you can only
Yeah.
imagine how much slope is out there on that golf course.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely unique. I can't imagine that being in the US, maybe Colorado, if anything, but
Yeah, yeah, it's about the closest place you could get.
yeah, but you're not getting 7,000 feet high in Colorado though. So that's
Yeah,
definitely,
very rarely.
yeah. I mean, that's gotta be tough. Did you play well there?
Yeah. I think in a couple of the Challenge Tour events in Switzerland, I played quite well. And then the European Tour event, I think I finished maybe around like 20 to 25 there that week. So wasn't too bad. And best part is the views there. I mean,
Yeah.
you're sitting on a mountain playing golf, coming back into the hotel room, and you got beautiful views. Even the lakes there in Switzerland, I mean, are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. At least you got some good pictures and nice memories from the trip, if anything,
Oh yeah.
along with a whole lot of experience. I want to mention a couple close calls. You finished second at the Italian Challenge and the Kazakhstan Open. How did those real close losses, do those motivate you any differently than just a normal, missed cut or anything like that?
Yeah, so the the Italian Open, so that was my first runner-up finish on the Challenge Tour.
Yeah.
It was one of the bigger purses so far that year, and I knew I really needed to play well and kind of and step up. I was around 30 to 40 in the rankings at that time, and I went in that week kind of going, all right, yeah, I need to do something here. This is not a good opportunity to kind of jump inside, because at the time it was, if you finished top 15, you got your European Tour card, and it was kind of right at that tournament where I got into the final group and I actually played a really nice round and just got beat. So it was actually a good learning lesson for me to like not put my head down that,
Right.
because I think I shot 3 under or something like that in the final round. And the kid that won, I think shot like 6 under. Played a great round. Like I just got beat, but to mentally like not get down on myself and still go, okay, I may not win the golf tournament, but let's stay focused and try and finish as high as I possibly can.
Right.
And that was a good experience. And then in the Kazakhstan Open, I it was actually a crazy week. I had to fly from Ireland to Dubai and then Dubai to Kazakhstan, and my clubs were lost.
Really?
And I didn't get my clubs until Wednesday afternoon. Like, and there was like no update on whether I was going to have my clubs or not.
Was this like a baggage
And
claim thing or?
yeah, they just got lost in Dubai.
Hmm.
To try and explain how big the Dubai airport is, um, it's hard to believe how spread out it was. And we had a pretty quick connection. And there's not too many flights that go from Dubai to Almaty, Kazakhstan every day. So it was
Right.
a little bit of a struggle to get my bags. And but I ended up getting a Wednesday afternoon, and I just came off like a really bad week the week before, and my head was kind of out of it. And it was actually kind of a good thing because I wanted to practice. I wanted to like kind of grind and get my clubs, and it was actually nice. I couldn't really do much without my clubs, so I didn't really go to the course on Monday or Tuesday, and then got to play practice round on Wednesday, and I actually felt way more relaxed going into that tournament. And going into the weekend, I was quite a bit back. And Saturday and Sunday, I think I shot 65, 66 maybe, something like that. And ended up getting in a playoff. I mean, I was kind of quite a bit out of it going into the weekend, and then I kind of battled my way up. And I think I lost on the fourth or the fifth hole in the playoff. But that was big because at that moment when I finished, when I knew, okay, I got into that playoff, whether I won or lost, I locked up my European Tour card. So that was like a huge moment. Like if I finished third, I wouldn't have locked it up. So like finishing in that top two guaranteed my card playing on the European Tour. And even though I did not win, there was still a lot of success
Yeah, of
in
course.
that. And it was a great week. It was a fun week, and I learned a lot. Anytime you have a chance to win a golf tournament, you have two things. You can either learn or you win. In my opinion, those are the two options that you have when you want to be basically at an elite level. Like I said, you win or you learn, and those are the two things that you can do. Otherwise, if you kind of sulk and you're like, oh, I should have won this, that, and the other thing. This game's hard. Not too many guys win all the time, so you gotta take your losses and still look at them positive and ways you can improve.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great mindset, especially for a golfer to have because, like I said, comparing it to a team sport, you kind of have your team to back you up if you get down, but it's all you out there. So the best, yeah, like you said, the best you can do is learn from the experience. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't your only playoff that you've been in at the Kazakhstan Open, but from that you learned a little bit more about how you play in playoffs, how you can be better in playoffs, and I feel like every hole you can learn something, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is from that experience, I've actually when I have gotten in playoffs, I've actually done really really well in playoffs. I
Exactly.
think, and a part of that has been a result from that tournament, me learning. Obviously sometimes you can get beat in a playoff, but it seems like I've been in probably maybe 5 or 6 playoffs since then, and just so recently, about it was last week. I was in a playoff for a tournament
Oh,
and
wow.
and came out on top. So that was pretty
Nice.
cool.
See, I mean, you learn over time, and it really can show with the results. And clearly, it's paid off at least a bit with your victory last week. So that's great. I love
Yeah.
that. I'm glad you mentioned your bag getting lost because I actually have a question about your bag. What's in your bag? I know it's a running segment that I think the PGA Tour does with golfers. I know a lot of golf fans are interested because some guys have some unique stuff, an extra wedge. You keep snacks on you, drinks. What is there anything specific or anything unique in your bag that people don't usually have?
So like on a normal week when I travel with a backup putter
Mm,
and a backup 60 degree because those are the two things that if something happens to them, I would kind of get a little upset. So in case, if something somehow happens, like it's pretty easy for an airline to kind of ding up a club or something like that.
yeah,
A lot of the other clubs I can get kind of replaced pretty easily, but my 60 degree and my backup putter I always bring with me. So and then as inside the golf bag, there's always snacks in there.
nice.
Big uncrustable guy. I
Oh
know it's not
yeah,
the I know
grape,
it's not the healthiest, but I love them. So
grape,
I keep them
strawberry.
keep them in the bag. Strawberry and grape, both.
Smart,
I mean,
smart.
you can't be too picky. They're both really good. I would say so. Like inside my golf bag right now, yeah, there's not much else.
Hey,
I always keep a bunch of gloves. I don't know what it is. I think it's just growing up in South Florida. I've always had a bunch of like I always keep even old gloves just because I was so used to growing up as a kid. And didn't have a ton of money to go pay for new gloves, so I always made every glove that I did get last like
yeah,
way longer than they should. So I would say that's probably the only other thing. And then yeah, I always like to keep a bunch of different color Sharpies in my bag, kind of switch it up, kind of depending on kind of what mood I'm in.
nice. I like the Uncrustables though. A man of good food taste. I love it.
I have to. I mean, I grew up on those things.
They're so good. Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't blame you at all. But you're giving me good segues here. Speaking of growing up, you guys may know him, Brooks Koepka. It's Chase's brother. Kind of a pretty good golfer, you could say. He also went to school in Florida. He went to Florida State, won tournaments there. Uh, what was it like both growing up through going through the ranks in golf, and then of course you guys have teamed up professionally together, the Zurich Open and a few other occurrences. What's that been like?
It's been a crazy wild ride, especially kind of over the last 4 or 5 years with his golf game taking off and reaching number one in the world, four majors. Growing up, it was just a lot of constant battles, whether it was on the golf course, out on the basketball court. If we found a ping pong table, I mean, whatever we did, we were just so competitive, and I think that's what really, I think, got us to be elite at playing golf. It was just the competitive nature that we had in whatever sport that we played. Is we never really got to compete because we were about 4 years apart. So there's a lot of where we wouldn't necessarily play against each other. But when we were at home,
Right.
I mean, there was club throws at each other. I mean, fights all the time. I mean, but I mean that's as siblings, that's what you're supposed to do. We just did
Right.
it probably on the golf course when we probably wouldn't. That was probably the last place we should be fighting, but definitely our parents had to break up some fights growing up. And but to lead on to when we played twice in the Zurich Classic. The first time we played, it was actually my first PGA Tour event,
Mm,
and we ended up finishing in fifth place that year, and it was a huge confidence booster to my career and kind of get me off early and definitely with a nice paycheck, and to also realize that I felt like I could compete even though it was a team event. um, we still both had to play really nice golf,
right.
and it was a lot of fun. And that's pretty much right after that is when I went back over and started, and I had my challenge tour card, and I literally played 2 weeks later over in Spain for my first challenge tour event of the 2017-2018 season.
Nice. Yeah, I hope to see you guys play together again soon because I always think it's fun seeing siblings play together just because, you have the history and the chemistry, and it's always fun to see that kind of come together, you know?
Oh yeah, and like you said, like being siblings and having us out there, I would say the average guy that's playing with another pro in an event like that, they'd be like, hey, it's all right. You hit a bad shot, you missed a putt, it's all right. But when Brooks and I play in that event, we look at each other. If we hit a bad shot and we're like, man, that was so bad. Oh boy, and we get after each other. So it's actually fun because we get to kind of ruffle each other's feathers while we're out there. But there's a lot of smack talking when we do hit good shots. So there's a lot of that going on too.
Would you say that you guys know each other's game better than anybody else?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
There's nobody that knows my game better than him, and vice versa. I feel like I know every aspect of his game, and to be honest, like in a team format, I think our games literally gel so perfectly together. And that was the fun part about growing up because our games are so different, but he could kind of learn from me on a few things and where I can learn from him on some other aspects. So we've always been able to kind of feed off of each other. And I think that's why we have actually had some success in the team event.
Yeah, it's got to be nice having someone with you growing up, besides your parents, but someone who can relate because he's right out there with you, it's someone to talk about the game with and kind of, like you said, compare games. Even though you guys are very different, you can learn from each other. And I think that's something that not many golfers have. Not everyone can say that their sibling is also a professional golfer, in the same profession as you and doing similar things. So that's really special.
Yeah, he's been a huge crutch for me, especially when I was over in Europe, because he went through the same process that I did. Playing Challenge Tour, European Tour. He's been to a lot of the same places that I went. So there was a lot of calls where it was either very early in the morning for him or very late at night for him, where if I needed any advice or help traveling or kind of what's the local food spot that I need to go to, he was always there to answer.
How often do you guys talk? I mean, obviously, like you said, very different schedules.
Yeah, we still talk quite a bit. I mean, we only live about 20 minutes from each other now, so it's nice. I know over the last kind of year, we haven't gotten to see each other quite as much. We've seen each other at like some of the few tournaments that we've both played together.
Right.
But he's kind of been battling an injury for quite a while, and he did a lot of rehab over in California. So he was spending a lot of time out there for about the last year. But now that he's kind of he's back healthy again, it's nice seeing him at home practicing and getting to kind of feed off his good momentum and good play, and hopefully it kind of trickles down to me a little bit right now.
Before we move on from Brooks, I have to mention this. I consider you a little bit of an inside source. Can you give us any information on the Brooks, Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau beef? Because it's pretty much taken over golf. Whenever they're within a couple miles of each other, that's what people are talking about.
Yeah, I think it's definitely brought a lot of attention to the game. I think a lot of people, they kind of like to see that going on in golf. You see little rivalries happen in baseball, basketball, football, soccer with different players, and I think it's good for the game that you're seeing some rivalries in golf happening, and obviously it's just been it's a little different with social media and people learning how to chirp a little bit on Twitter and Instagram. So it's definitely a little different that people are different type of feud that kind of people are seeing, but they're both competitors, and they just want to beat each other. It's good. I mean, it's literally no different than Brooks and I yelling at each other and when we were little growing up, and you know, uh, unfortunately, I can't really get in too many fights with my brother. He's a little bit bigger than me, and
Yeah.
I would lose a lot if I
Well,
tried to fight him. I would lose every fight, but I kept trying.
it's more about the statement you make when you put up the fight. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree that the beef between Bryson and Brooks is definitely good for the game. I think it brings attention to it, and a rivalry is always fun as long as things don't get ugly. Have you ever met
Yeah.
Bryson? Do you have any connection with him?
Yeah. So he actually played at SMU. We were both freshmen at the same time, and then right after my freshman year, SMU joined the American Athletic Conference. So we were in the same
Yeah.
conference. We played together in a lot of different tournaments because they had a very good team as well. So, and there was a lot of times where Bryson and I were both kind of number one on the team, so we'd end up getting paired with SMU a lot, and played quite a bit golf with Bryson, and we had our battles too out there on the course. He was he was somebody that I know every time I got a chance to play against him, I looked forward to the battle between us.
Yeah, so I mean, if you and Bryson are around the same age, maybe it is similar to you and Brooks. Maybe Brooks sees it that way. Little brother, just kind of being annoying. It feels like. I mean, that's what it seems like. From the press conference video, which is skyrocketed in views and notice, definitely, just because Brooks's reaction, he lost all focus. That
Yeah,
probably got you
I don't even yeah, like I don't even know what was said. I've actually never even asked. I know people probably think that's a little weird, but I actually never even asked asked what was even said. But you know, I just think it's getting more people to pay attention to the golf game,
Yeah.
and and I think it's good. And soon enough they're gonna be teammates and at the Ryder Cup here pretty soon. So I, I there's not like going to be any fist fights going on. Trust me. When they get in a team environment, they'll pair up nicely, and they'll do whatever they can to bring the Ryder Cup back to the U.S.
Well, definitely ask because I want to know personally, and I want the viewers to definitely hear about it because that's some important information too.
Yeah.
I'm sure there might be a couple passive aggressive jabs in a press conference or two, but I do agree that they should put their differences aside for the greater good of the U.S. bringing that cup home.
Oh yeah.
That'll definitely be an important victory for both of them. But yeah, it's definitely some interesting but entertaining beef. I would say it's one of the more appealing beefs. I would say it currently going on in sports. So definitely
Yeah.
going to want to see where that goes. They're two fantastic golfers, though. I mean, that's all it really comes down to. It's just trying to one up each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're both great golfers. They're both completely different people. Bryson hits the whole scientific kind of aspect, and my brother, he's about as far away from that as possible.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they could be more opposite people. And some say opposites attract. Not in this
Oh,
situation.
I don't think so. But if they win the Ryder Cup, all is good for golf fans. So
Oh yeah.
that works itself out. Before we go, I want to ask you a couple rapid fire questions. We call them just some, golf questions, non-golf questions. Have some fun with it
Yeah.
before we go. Are you superstitious at all?
No.
No, nothing. No tube socks under the bed before the next match or anything.
Nothing. I when it comes to the golf course, I try not to be superstitious.
Who's your favorite golfer growing up?
Everyone, I would say, favorite golfer was Tiger Woods. If you take Tiger out of the equation, Ernie Els is my favorite golfer, and I've been fortunate enough to have a relationship with him, and he's been awesome to me. He's been able to help me out, and I enjoy getting a chance to sit down with my idol every now and then when we get to see each other.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. They say never meet your idols. I mean, I guess that doesn't apply to you, right?
And not to me. I want to learn as much as I can, and he's been a nice little mentor for me.
That's awesome. I love hearing about stuff like that. For the match just happened actually with Bryson. Of course, him and Aaron Rodgers defeated Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. What athlete would you want to team up with if you were in the match?
That's a tough one. I would probably say like a Steph Curry.
Curry?
I would
Yeah.
want to team up with him.
I heard he's a good golfer.
Yeah, he's really nice golfer. I know him and Andre Iguodala is pretty good as well, and obviously he's now playing for the Heat, so that's
Right.
my team. So
Yeah, local guy. Yeah.
oh yeah.
I think for me, I'm a big baseball fan. I think I'd go Mike Trout. I feel like I've seen that video of him at Topgolf. I
Oh,
think he hit bombs.
he hits massive bombs.
Yes.
Yeah, he'd be a great scramble partner because he would just send it off the tee. Oh,
dude,
yeah.
He would be fun to watch. I would love to see that. I don't know how good his
Most
score would
definitely.
be, but he would hit him far. I'd love to see something like that. Dream major victory. Like, would you prefer winning the Masters, US Open? If you could win one course, one championship, what would it be?
I would say I would want to be able to win an Open championship.
Oh,
I've spent so much time over in Europe. It really to be called champion golfer of the year, I think is something pretty special, and the history behind the claret jug, I think, is something pretty cool.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind a green jacket though.
I definitely wouldn't mind being a Masters champion either, but whatever one I win, I hope one of my majors is definitely an Open championship.
Well, I hope to see you there one day. But first, you have a Barbasol Championship to win, which is coming up this week. So good luck to you, and thank you for coming on. You've been really, really one of our best guests, if I do say honestly. You've been great. Best of luck to you, and of course, like I said, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. But for myself, Matthew Perry, and for GMs for Hire, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.